Hey everybody, welcome back to the Metal Mill 52 workshop. My name is Bill, this is my shop. We're working on an LBSC Tich locomotive. That's what the book looks like. Here's the project itself. And as you can see, it's coming along nicely. Pretty slow lately. I've been pressed for time with a lot of other things, work, family, house responsibilities, that kind of thing. So I haven't made much progress, but the tanks are taking shape, and that's what this episode will be about. So if you're interested, please follow along. It's been great. I'm really pleased with the progress so far, and I think this will be useful to anybody that's entertaining a project like this. As always, please like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. It provides encouragement for me to continue on, and if you have any questions, please ask them. I will do my best to answer. I did mention that in this episode, somebody is building a pillar tool, and it's Mech Mod Projects. You could look up pillar tool Mech Mod Projects, and he's building a universal pillar tool, one with the short arms like that. But it's a neat channel and definitely worth checking out. He's from Italy and is very meticulous in his processes, and very cool. There's also Jimmy's Canal, who is a Greek gentleman, Demetrius I think his name is, who's building a watchmaker's drill press, which is very similar to the pillar tool. So check those channels out, let them know that I sent you, and have a great time. Appreciate you, everybody. We'll see you soon. Making the tanks, first thing I did was to study the drawings in the book, and then I drew out the dimensions on grid paper so I could get an understanding. Even made a little diagram showing how, like, the left-hand tank, these are the bends will be here. It's two pieces kind of bent and that match each other like that. And the opposite for the right-hand tank, drew this little picture over here. So next thing to do is to lay out the design on some cardboard, some kind of thick cardstock. This is an old file folder I found. So I've laid them out, laid the pieces out and the dimensions with a ruler. Now I can cut them out and then make the bends and do the test fitting, see how it works, fit a piece of cardboard versus cutting pieces of brass. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. See that nice little completed template there? Use some blue tape to hold it together. So now we'll later on take it out there and test fit it on the running boards on the actual Tich. And here's the hand pump in place inside the cardboard mock-up tank, and happily it does fit. It's not locked down yet, but I'll show you the extension. Let me put the little cover in place, and I'll show you the fore and aft extensions, as that's what I wanted to check for. Ultimately, I'll be cutting off this and making the removable hand pump thing, but I left it long on purpose for this reason. There's with the top in place and the pump at the maximum forward throw. I'll take this off and move it back to the maximum rearward throw. That ain't gonna work. Okay, and here's the pump with the maximum rearward throw. One thing is obvious is that the pump handle, even with the shorter one, it would hit this, so I may have to make my opening a little bit larger. I don't see any problem with that. Just probably extend it down a ½ inch, and another good reason for test fitting like this. And the other critical fitment piece is the bypass valve. So although I've only made one cardboard template, I'm able to use this. Let me switch hands here and I'll show you what I mean. So the bypass valve, it'll go on the opposite side over there, and it'll be screwed into a bushing inside the back of the tank. But this should be perfect. I made this months and months ago, but It's a 1/4 by 40, so I'll make a bushing to fit this in. I think it'll be good. Here I've laid out the inside pieces and the outside pieces on some 1/32 inch thick brass sheet. So I'm getting ready to cut them out. I think I'll just cut them out on my bandsaw. I think that'll be the easiest thing. You can see right here, it's the curved portion that gets folded to the inside. I just wanted to point out that you want to take stock of where your bend lines are and make sure that you make, for at least for me, it's always helpful to note them because you want to be looking at the bend line as you stick it in the bending machine there. And same thing for over here. That's why I did it this way, in case you're curious. I got the 4 main pieces cut out as I showed in the last segment. Tonight I took a nice machinist square and checked the cut edges that for square, and I found 2 of them which were really good. These ones over here, and there was 2 of them that I had to file a little bit. So just wanted to make that point. Not only do you want to deburr, but also get them square, because the squarer you get them, the better it'll be for after you bend and try to match them all together with a little piece of angle brass. So now I'm getting ready to use the old Binford 3-in-1 machine to put the bends in, and I'll do it really carefully. Another use for the square, I'll line this up. Obviously it's a 2-handed operation, but I'll check it square right in perfect position before I do the bend. And mindful of what Curly says in the book, I'm not going to crimp the angle in there real tight. I'll leave it slightly rounded. I'll bring you back when I've got that done. Okay, here's the first bend, and I'm really pleased with how it came out. It's smooth, slightly rounded there on the end. And what I did was I slipped it in until I could just barely see my scribe line, and I'm using my OptiVisor to check and use that for alignment. So I think it came out pretty good. Obviously that'll have to get crimped a little closer in, but better this than too tight, too angular. Exciting moment there. There's the bent tank box bodies, and really here's my OptiVisor and the templates that I used, my trusty square. Really pleased with how that came out, and it's really nice to be able to line the line up right underneath the bottom of the teeth there. So pleased with how the angles came out. They're slightly rounded, just like Curly calls for. Now we can prepare to bond them together with a little piece of angle brass in each corner. Couldn't resist doing a little video of the boxes in place, or the bent pieces of brass, not yet actually boxes, but that looks pretty cool. I'm really excited about how that came out. You get a 360 view here. Pretty cool. To hold the sides of the tanks together, I've cut these little angle strips of brass I got from K&S Metals. They're a 1/4 inch, and I've laid out for 3 holes. My plan is to use these tiny 080 screws. You can see how little the tap is there. This is the screw itself. These are some stainless steel button heads that I got from McMaster Carr. So 6 in each corner just to hold it together. I'll also be either soldering or using something different as a sealant. And right now, to get ready to drill the holes, I've laid out where the holes go, and I'm using my Starrett center punch and making a little dent where each of the holes will be, so it makes it a lot easier to drill. I've got the drill set up over here in the universal pillar tool, and that's the plan here. So I'll drill all those holes out. I'll use the tapping size hole for the 080 size screw, and then fasten the strips into place, and then drill through and tap all at once they're in place. I wanted to point out there's a new to me channel on YouTube where a guy is building a pillar tool. He's Italian. I think it's Meco Mods, something like that. You'll find it, but I just watched his latest video this morning. He did a really nice job. It's beautiful work, so it's cool to see people building these pillar tools. Okay, here are the inner portions. As you can see what I've done, I've cleaned them off with some acetone and crazy glued in place the strips for the initial drilling and tapping. So now I'm just going to let these sit for a while, let the glue cure, but it'll be easy enough to come back and drill the holes this way, drill and tap them that way, and this way as well. Probably use the pillar tool for that. And once that's done, then the screws will hold it in place, and I can repeat the process and drill and tap the holes for the outer pieces of the tanks. I've almost finished tapping all the holes on the frames. First I drilled the holes. I left the setup there, and this is what's so cool about the universal pillar tool. You can just leave your drilling set up there, and then you have the tapping arm over here, and you can almost eliminate tap breakage because the geometry is perfect. You can support the workpiece however you want, even using a piece of 2x6. So I really do like the universal pillar tool. Can't say it enough. Here I've got both of the brass boxes assembled. They're not fully bolted together yet, but what I've done is remove the crazy glue that I used originally, and I've oriented the screws now so that I can take them apart. I've crazy glued it in place now, and I'm gonna let this dry overnight. Then tomorrow I can come back and remove these screws, and it'll leave these strips in place, and then I can drill and tap just these sets just like I did the others. So pretty pleased. What's nice is the boxes are nice and level. There's no rockiness or binding so far, and pretty pleased with the progress. So I'll keep you posted. Right, here's a little interim progress update. Went ahead and left the rivets on the outside. I think I may do that for some of these at least anyway, but I said rivets, so that's why. The little round head screws, they look like rivets. It looks pretty cool. And here's an aerial view. So there's just enough room for the pump in there. I'm getting ready to make the bases. Let me show you the other side real quick. There's the back view. And this side will predominantly be the tank, and this is where the bypass valve will be. So again, with the little screw heads on the outside, I think that looks pretty cool. Anyway, so the next step is to cut the bases, and I'm going to use some 1/16 inch brass. I went ahead and I was going to use some thinner stuff, but I found this on eBay for a very reasonable price, and it just came today, and the gentleman actually put it in a box, which I was thrilled about. So it didn't, I was kind of afraid maybe they'd put it in a flat envelope and it would get dinged up and bent, but it did not. So very sturdy piece of 1/16 inch by 6 inch by 2 inch brass. So that'll be plenty enough to cut the bases for the tanks and the tops as well. So that's the next step. Well, at first glance, my first attempt at making a bottom seems to be okay, and it wasn't hard to cut out or anything, and in fact I was making good progress with using the belt sander to gently remove a little bit of material to let it fit in there, and it was being slow, and it was late last night and I was getting impatient, so I put a brand new sanding belt on my belt sander, and oh my gosh, I ground away way too much on the ends. I mean, this much would be acceptable. I got a little gap here on the side, which is not really good, but this is too much. And so luckily I've got a big hunk of metal, so this is about a $4 mistake right there. So rather than scribing directly from the tank onto the metal like I did last night, I think what I'm going to do is go back to my cardboard method, outline the shape on a piece of cardboard, get the cardboard to be the exact right fit, then I can just cut that out of the brass stock, and that should work out a lot better. Here's my two cardboard templates, and I've just laid them out, traced them out on the brass. So I'm going to cut them out on the bandsaw, and then I can carefully shape them and hopefully not waste anything. Well, this is the kind of fit you're looking for. I cut it out, excuse me, on the bandsaw. Then I spent about an hour with a set of files to get it to fit. It fits snugly, fits perfectly in there. So, very pleased to the way that came out. Work on the other one tomorrow night. Okay, with the bottom installed, just doing a little test fit and reimagining things with my cardboard mock-up of the tank top there. Let me take that off, and I think this will be the last segment of this video. I was honestly hoping to complete everything with the tanks before I published another video, but I think this will be better just to go ahead and break this up into segments. As you can see, that's the inside of the tank with the hand pump. This is the one that will have the blower valve. Let me show you, not the blower valve, the bypass valve. Let me show you the bottom of this one. I finished this last night. It also came out really nice. Basically just hand filing. I don't know if you can see all the hand files I have lined up over there, but that was way better solution, hand filing for the fit for the bottom, than using the belt sander. So I'm very pleased with how those came out so far. Next steps, of course, are to potentially reinforce the bottom for the pump, although it provides a pretty good reinforcement of its own. Putting the hand pump in, installing the bypass valve, all the fittings that have to get soldered in, of course building the tank tops and the little openings. So tons more work to go, but this is really fun and enjoyable. I wish I had more time to work on it right now, but I'm getting a little bit done at a time. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you would, if you're interested and you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Ask any questions that you might have. Do appreciate all the great questions and comments that are coming in on the channel. So thanks, everybody. I will post you when we're a little bit further along with the tanks.